Hello and welcome to the That's So Craven podcast, your Fulham podcast from Down Under. We are back again, our second podcast of the new season. It is a pink pre-season and our preparation is in progress. The US Summer Series is all finished now. We've got one more game to go in pre-season until the season starts in just 10 days from now. Here to discuss it all, we have Sam. How are we going?
Hello, I am good. I am good. I was late to the pre pod scheduled meeting, but I am here now, ready and accounted for.
That's a light way of putting it, to the scheduled meeting being the start time of the podcast.
Yes.
but,
Yes.
but you're here now, so that's all that matters. And Dad, how are we going today?
I'm very well, thanks. Hello, family, and I'm happy to be here.
You fully zenned out after your yoga session?
Yeah, I thought I'd kind of go for a matching water bottle top and hoodie for those on the
Monochrome.
live stream.
It's very strong.
Well,
It's very
actually
strong.
matching last season's away kit with your mint color there, but
Yeah,
we're
I know.
obviously brand
I'm
new.
I'm
brand new
I'm,
in pink.
I'm just a beat behind, That's how it
I
goes.
was I was thinking more Tiffany and Co. I thought you were going for
I'll pay that. I'll pay teal.
yeah.
So, look, guys, let's start by just recapping the summer series. It's all finished up now. Look, it's a great experience for Fulham to go out to the US, connect with the fans over there as well. I don't know if you both saw the events that Fulham and the Fulham DC group, the Fulham PH Philadelphia group, and the Fulham supporter relations team as well, putting on some really great events over there. We saw Brian McBride at least one of them. Obviously, Fulhamish and Russ did a live podcast as well before the very first game of the summer series. It's been a really good experience, I think. In a market that Fulham are obviously quite well known in anyway, but I mean, looking around the grounds, there weren't a huge number of Fulham shirts there, so it probably was a good commercial exercise, at least, getting Fulham out to the US. The results maybe not as positive as we'd liked, but it's quite obvious we were undermanned compared to some of the other teams. I don't know if you guys noticed when Aston Villa were making their substitutions in that second game, and we saw established internationals coming off the bench for Villa, and we were bringing on our under 18s pretty much. It really emphasized the gap in squad depth that we currently have at the moment, and that we're hoping is being turned around as we speak.
And similarly, when in the second half against Chelsea, they
9.
literally trotted out an entire new team, and well, we made some substitutions, but yeah, I mean it's just miles apart.
They don't have a hard grit from being
No,
able to endure.
I'm not expressing any kind of jealousy or envy at who they are. I'm just talking about numbers here, sheer numbers.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to put a positive spin on it. I like the idea of us being grizzled and just like solidified by doing the extra miles.
Well, I think the truth of it is, I think the bodies become solidified by about February. When under complete stress, it all goes bad.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I mean, there's definitely positives to take from it, though. I mean, just to recap, I guess some of the positives that I saw, we saw the emergence of Luc de Fougerols, nailed the pronunciation, and potentially someone who could be a big part of the squad this season. I know Marco in one of his press conferences said for centre backs this year we're sorted, and that's assuming that Tosin is out the door. We've only signed Bassi to basically replace Tosin, and so maybe Luc de Fougerols actually does come into that's not starting lineup as such, but he sits as our backup defender in sort of the Shane Duffy ilk, if you will, where he'll get off the bench if we really need him, but we don't need any extra depth because we've got a player like that floating around the squad. So I think that was a huge positive. I saw really good performances and good moments from Dibley Diaz. Luke Harris looked good when he came off the bench. Stansfield looked busy. In terms of the new signings, I thought Bassi against Chelsea looked really exciting. Weird
Yeah,
thing
he
to
looked
say about a
great.
defender, but strong boy. I like that. And pretty smart as well. He was moving out of position to make interceptions multiple times, winning the ball comfortably, and just looking really comfortable slotting straight into that back line, which is exactly what you want when you're signed only 2.5 weeks out from the season starting. So there's definitely some positives to take from the summer series. There were a few little injuries. I know Polina was a big worry. It looks like he is probably going to be good for the start of the season based on, I mean, it's based on an Instagram video of him using a resistance band, so it's not hugely scientific. But Dad, your thoughts on this summer series? I know we were lucky enough to see Fulham come out to Australia 10, 15 years ago now. And I think that gave a bit of a boost to all fans over here. But what positives are you taking from Fulham's time in the US?
Yeah, interestingly, I think you read my mind there, where my mind was going for comparisons, because I was recalling the Fulham tour of Australia. When was that, Jack? Is that maybe
It was the
10,
Europa
10
League
years ago?
season, 09-10.
Yeah, and I'd say that the summer series in the US is a much bigger thing, much more organized. I think there's a bit of a PR machine that's going along for the ride, and I think they've rightfully made a big play for the market. Obviously, Fulham's got a big connection historically with the US, and also with the ownership and the, I suppose, the cross marketing opportunities between the Khan's other franchises. But I just think it's a great thing. It seems that the US fan base has really grabbed the opportunity as well, and
Yeah.
have really relished it, and really felt a part of it, which is fantastic, because there's huge, massive upside for growth for Fulham support in that area, and it's good to see the club doing something pretty serious about sharing it out to that fan base.
Yeah, I reckon the summer series is actually going to start being a pretty legitimate thing that they're going to be doing going forward, just with the introduction of people like Messi in the US game. And they're I mean, this is the best opportunity that they're going to have in like the last 10 years to really build upon like the US audience. And it's awesome that we are actually a part of this, because we might not get invited back next year for whatever this grows to be. Also as well, I mean, it's really hard to like actually determine how you fared in these matchups. But one thing I think is really important to note is it was really hot there, really hot. And I linked it to both you guys. I was listening to this really good podcast with Tim Ream and Andreas Pereira for Tim Ream's podcast. He was just interviewing Andreas about his time in Brazil and how it's so hot there when you play, and it actually makes you so much better when you go back to Europe, because you can play with so much more intensity, because you've been playing your game essentially against the elements. So I'm glad we had a preseason against the elements.
Well, it's like when
The
people
one thing that's I don't know how to easily overcome it. Maybe you can't, but the pitch speed is a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Those pitches are pretty dry, and it's definitely a big challenge for them to play in the way that they want to play, particularly early doors, where you do want to establish um, that dynamic pretty early on, and you could see them really struggling. So not only are they getting sort of slow roasted, in the temperatures, but the pitches are very different, and I think
Yeah.
that's really hard for them. Really difficult for
yeah.
them.
I saw
I,
Modric actually say a couple of weeks ago that if you can't like play a fast game, and just try to slow the game down as much as you can, because then it just all comes down to skill and how you plan out the game. So from a tactical point of view, I think it's actually pretty good that this happened this way, for us at least.
I'm not sure about that. I think I saw that 2 of the games were played on hybrid artificial turf, which is something that's not allowed in the Premier League, at least. And, I think the one benefit about playing a lot of games at home is you play on your home ground where you're going to be playing 19 of your Premier League games for the season. We
Yeah,
effectively
totally.
have just played 3 away games in rough conditions. And I agree. I do agree. I think playing in that extra heat will definitely help with fitness. Same as if you're playing at altitude. I think you train at altitude to adjust your lungs to work better when you're down at sea level again. So I think there's definitely a benefit there. But in terms of the pitch and the facilities, they didn't quite look up to scratch for me, and I would have liked an
Yeah.
extra game at Craven Cottage. But what I will say is, often we see preseason games. We play Crawley Town and we play, Kidderminster Harriers and teams like that, and it's a great experience for those fans of those teams because they get to play a Premier League club. But the benefit of this summer series was we played against 3 Premier League teams who put out fairly full strength squads in all 3 of the games. So we
Totally.
did get a decent workout against decent teams. So we'll definitely benefit from that. I think the one issue though is we've gone to the US and spent quite a large chunk of our preseason away from England, and
Mm.
that travel time might have actually meant that we've missed out on getting another extra preseason game in that period of time. And I think going into the season, we're looking at playing only 4, maybe 5 games before the season actually starts. It just feels like we're slightly undercooked. And I mean,
I'd
we'll
agree with
know a
that.
lot
I
more
do
after
agree
the
with that.
next preseason game, but um, there's the commercial side of things and the engagement with fans, which I think is great. And I'm definitely not saying we shouldn't do this, because as overseas fans ourselves, I would love and I cross my fingers every time it comes around. The preseason tours get announced. I always cross my fingers that Fulham are coming back out here, because it was such a great experience last time it happened. But at the same time, I actually think for the benefit of the team, it's better to go and do a couple of weeks in Portugal in hot weather, where it's an hour's flight and you can quickly nip back. Oh, not an hour's flight, but you know what I mean. It's close. You can
Mm.
quickly get back to London. You're not changing time zones. You're not disrupting the preseason too much. And look, we'll soon find out. We'll see how ready we are for the first game of the year. But I just feel we're fractionally undercooked at the moment.
Well, I think it's but
Um,
it's really in 2 parts, isn't it? It's that marketing exercise which we've been part of, and excellent. I don't think you could detract from that at all. But it's a bit of a compound effect with injury sustained to key players. Tom
mm,
Cairney picked up a niggle. Don't know how bad that is, but
Mm.
that would be unfortunate if. I mean, it's a soft tissue injury, so you have to be pretty careful. And he may or may not be fit in 10 days' time, which
yeah,
would be a real problem. And Harrison Reed got a couple of knocks and didn't look.
Tete got a
It,
knock.
yeah, it compounds the problem of an already underweight squad, and
Yeah,
it's concerning. And I think you made a comment. You made a comment about the number of you know preseason games on home soil that other teams have had compared to us, and it's significant.
yeah. Well, let's look forward to our next game, which is against Hoffenheim. Obviously, a team in the Bundesliga. Um, I don't know exactly how they went. I should have checked that beforehand. Let's have a quick look at how Hoffenheim went last season. Um, Bundesliga, obviously, a fairly 2-horse race most of the time. Hoffenheim last season finishing 12th out of 18 teams. Only really avoided relegation by about 3 points, but so did quite a few teams last season. So I'd say they're very comfortably a mid-table side. It's probably a team that on our day we should look at beating. So I think this is going to give us a better test. And obviously with the season being much closer as well, I expect we'll see pretty much the side that we're going to be putting out against Everton, unless there's a few signings that have just signed. We'll cover some transfer news in a little bit later in the podcast, but I'd expect we'll see pretty close to a full 11, apart from maybe Polina, who I assume will give a little bit longer to recover. This game is an 8 p.m. kickoff for us over in Western Australia, 10 p.m. for the east coast of Australia. It's a 1 p.m. kickoff on Saturday, the 5th of August in London. And for our American listeners, it's a 5 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. Eastern kickoff. So a little bit of an early morning for those on the West Coast, but hopefully a good game to get up and around. I'm not 100% sure where we're going to be streaming this one. Hopefully we can find a legitimate and legal stream, because that's the right thing to do. But if not, I'm sure there are people around who can find out ways to watch this game. But we obviously do
back to the good old days.
Endorse that.
Yeah.
Gamble responsibly. Talking of this game, though, obviously we saw the signings of Jimenez and Bassi confirmed in the last couple of days. Sam, I'll throw to you. We're expecting both of them to start in this game.
Yeah, potentially. I really liked Jimenez when he played the second half against Chelsea. I really like what he seems to be. Also, he does seem like he has like a lot more fire under his belly than anything I saw from Wolves. So yeah, I mean, I kind of write off the first half against Chelsea, but the second half when Bassi came on and Jimenez came on, I like that is like night and day, and I was like, okay, this looks good, this looks promising. Very, very different to Mitrovic, but I actually think that that's a really good thing. And I like a front three of Willian, Wilson, and Jimenez. I'm really excited for that. I reckon that could be really cool. So, yeah, I'd say Jimenez starts, and I'm really excited for that. I'm really tired. I feel like I'm going to ramble a lot. So yeah, just be prepared for that. Like my brain is at limited capacity. So for all you listeners, I'm just sit back, just roll with it. Sam's going to be saying things, and yeah. That's just
another
this podcast.
Just another day in paradise, Sam. It's just another day in paradise.
Imagine if he'd actually rocked up on time, though.
I'm not sure if it would be that much better, to be honest.
Same question to you. Are we expecting Bassi and Diop to start at the centre of defence, or do you think there's the possibility of De Fougerolles being given another start to see if he's actually ready to potentially step into that role, or do we see maybe Tim Ream get a start? Because we haven't seen him at all in pre-season so far. I think he's expecting to be fit for the first game. He hasn't had a run out though, and you don't really bring on a defender for 45 minutes in a game. Do you think it's going to be a chance to give Ream a bit of minutes on the pitch?
Well, it's quite a high risk to not give him any pre-season game time, isn't it? I've heard words that he's very, very fit, and other than strength or pain in his shoulder, he's in good nick, and he's a very, very fit professional athlete. So you'd expect him to have done the work to prepare himself. But I'd love for him to get minutes, whether or not he starts. I'd love for him to get minutes in this game, Tim Ream. I am really excited about De Fougerolles. I think we've really found something there, and I love the way that in just a handful of days we actually are getting closer to actually mentioning his name properly. We hope.
Well, the disappointing thing is I can't get his name on the back of my shirt yet.
I've got some permanent marker. I'll do it for you, if you like. But look, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn in saying that if he started, against Everton, I don't think there'd be anyone nervous or upset or even surprised. De Fougerolles. So I love the fact that he, he's cover for Tete, potentially cover for Diop in the right sided centre back. Um, yeah, I loved what I saw in Bassi. I thought he was dominant. I thought he looked like a really smart footballer.
Mm.
Um, and I know people made comments about a couple of his passes that were ambitious and didn't quite come off. Don't care. You can see he's a baller. He's actually a very good player, and he
Mm.
just looks like the kind of player that is going to really develop under Silva.
I enjoyed you saying baller there as well. That was very, very woke of you.
Yeah, he's a topical man.
Sorry.
Elton's up to date. Elton's up to date.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan.
I didn't know there was a woke term. I just thought it was a more recent term.
I'm not even sure
No,
if
I
you can
like
really
it.
call it a
I like
woke
it.
term. To be
Maybe not
honest, but
woke. Maybe not woke. Maybe just he's in touch with the youth.
yeah,
Yeah, see, I have a wide appeal.
it was a present response.
I haven't wore my green hoodie, you know.
Yeah,
I
no,
know.
he's
Look, honestly, if you look at the Robinson and Bassi on the left side, and that's assuming he nudges Ream out. That's exciting. That's really exciting. In fact, it kind of makes the right of centre back look a little bit weaker. Not Kenny, but maybe that right centre back. It certainly doesn't have the flair. He looked more composed and settled on the ball than Diop did from the get go.
Yeah.
So I want Bassi to start, and I'm going to tell you why. Because again, I implore everybody to listen to Tim Ream's podcast. I think it's called The American Dream. I forget, but Tim Ream was saying that his preparation for the last couple of seasons has just been to try to be fitter than every single person when he arrives, and any person in his position, he essentially just he says he thrives on that, because anytime he thinks anyone's going to be better than him, that's when he just knuckles down. And then as a result, that's how we've had the last 2 seasons of Super Saiyan Prime Tim Ream. So I want Bassi to start, and I want Tim Ream to go, okay, that just means I got to get even better than I was before. And then Tim Ream will essentially become God mode, and I will be very happy.
Well, you're right, Sam, in that Tim Ream is never going to be a man to throw his toys out of the cot because he's displaced. Because
Yeah.
he's 34, 35 years of age. He will absolutely take that on and try and bust his way back in. And
Yeah.
what could be better? What could be better?
I've got so much respect for the man, and just if you've ever heard like any of the other players just talk about how ridiculously fit Tim Ream is, and how he's just like such an animal when it comes to like training and preseason stuff. I love the guy. I love Tim Ream so much.
Can we just Colm just I think it was Colm just mentioned something about Mbabu. It was
You want to shit on Mbabu?
Mbabu. Yeah, I thought that Mbabu was leaving the club.
I'm not sure.
I do remember towards the end of last season there was some rumors that he had agreed to leave on a free, and effectively it seemed like we were potentially terminating his contract at one point to get rid of him. But look, I do. There's Colm's comment here for those on the live, not on the live stream rather, the Castagna rumours re-emerging due to Tete's injury. I don't have good feelings about Mbabu. Now, Tete did pick up a knock. He did feature again though and played on. I don't think it's too serious. It doesn't look too serious. In terms of Mbabu, he got played mainly at left back during the summer series, which again we just know it's not his preferred position, and it's a position that he unfortunately just can't really play in. I still think that there were some moments from him where he didn't look terrible, and as a backup right back, if you're not having to sign another player, I don't think it's the worst option to have him there, because I know he has the ability deep down somewhere, and we always talk about how Marco can bring it out of players. If Marco has decided to keep him around and not flog him off, then I think And he's giving him minutes in preseason as well. I don't think he'd be doing that. He'd be
Come
well,
on.
no, he'd
We're
be
sure.
playing another centre defender and playing diffuser roles at right back, because that's where he actually plays. He's playing people and giving them an opportunity. I think Mbabu still has a part to play in the greater squad as a whole. I don't think he's anywhere near the starting 11, and I think realistically, it's a
really
coin
strongly
toss
disagree.
between diffuser roles and Mbabu if you have an injury at right back.
I feel like, and again, I hate to sound personal, but
Go for the
I do
jugular.
believe. No. He looks like a very nice man. I do believe that if we're relying on Kevin Mbabu, we are, fighting for relegation. That's the feel I have. That's
We're
how
not
short we are.
relying on Mbabu. He's a
Yeah,
backup.
we're not
No, but
relying
as a
on him.
backup, you have to have a backup, an eligible backup in every position.
Yeah,
So
but that's
whilst
like
we're not
saying
relying on him to start,
I
that's
think
like
it's
saying
deeper than
we're
that, though.
relying on Rodak but we're not. We rely on Leno as our starting keeper. Rodak is an okay backup option. I don't feel confident having him play, but as a backup option, sitting there on the bench comfortably and not whinging, I'm okay
Yeah.
with it. And I think
I
Mbabu sits in the same boat.
I want to expand on Jack's point as well, because I feel that there's actually a really, really lovely energy at Fulham at the moment, pretty much across the park, bar one striker that we will not name. But I feel that Kevin Mbabu seems actually quite largely unproblematic, and he seems to be well liked by the other guys. And I think this is Silva's way of going, you know what? You clearly aren't causing any beef here. I want to give you some time and some minutes just to see where we're at, because yeah, you might not be the direct backup, but if injuries happen, he's going to be needed in some capacity. So it's important to get him minutes for somebody who's unproblematic, I think.
Yeah.
okay.
Similarly with
Look,
people like Shane Duffy, like Shane Duffy needed minutes because every now and then we might rely on him.
and look, I'd agree. Shane Duffy was not at the level we expect of a starting 11 player, but
Yeah.
as someone on the bench who you might have to turn to at some point, I think he does a good enough job. It's not a good job, but it's a good enough job to get by for 20 minutes if Tete went down injured.
Yeah.
After that, I'd actually be probably tossing up and putting diffuser roles in at right back rather than Babu.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
but
think
at least we
look,
know
it's
that.
pragmatic. It's pragmatic. We're struggling to sign players all over the park, and I think if given a choice, we would sign someone of a much better class. We just would. But whether it's dollars or whether we just can't seem to land someone, I cannot be believing that Silver thinks he's of a standard that we want to be at going forward. Not buying
Mm,
it.
I mean, in terms of depth, I kind of do. I mean, my biggest takeaway from this whole summer series is Silver's been able to give minutes to younger players, which last preseason and last season he just wasn't able to. So the idea that we've got young, hungry guys who actually could potentially feature in the squad within a mix of like proper Premier League quality players, I think that's a really, really exciting prospect for us. I don't know.
The one final thing to sort of cover in this Hoffenheim preseason game, and let's keep it to one word each if we can. Dad, I'll start with you. Does Mitro start or play any part in this game?
No.
Sam?
Nope.
Yep. Well, there we go. I
We can expand on that.
Can I expand
I'd
on
agree.
Go on, Dad.
It's more than
Expand.
one
You
word,
love an
but
expansion.
yeah, go give us your
it?
reasons. I think
Nothing
they're pretty
to do
obvious.
with nothing to do with the obvious. I want to give Jimenez a proper opportunity on home soil at the cottage. I want to give him every opportunity to get a bit of confidence, maybe score a couple of goals against a weaker opposition. And it might be a really good warm up for Everton. And if he scores one, let's say he scores a goal and has a really good 90 minutes, he starts against Everton.
Yeah.
Well, what you're saying there then is you want to give Jimenez a crack. Fair enough. He's not going to play a full 90 minutes realistically. So are you saying then Vinicius comes off the bench for 30 minutes?
Sure.
Potentially. Yeah.
And so at
Actually,
that point, Mitro definitely doesn't play the Everton game because Mitro hasn't had any minutes so far this season. So, but and as Black, White, and Fred has said on our live stream here,
thank you. I was going to say.
at this point, is it now better if Mitro leaves? And that's a question because at what point do you effectively forgive and forget and move on and bring him back into the fray? Because are we going to leave him out all season because he wanted to go elsewhere, or do you actually make use of a striker who we know can do it in the Premier League?
I think genuinely, you can't make him like I feel that his attitude at this stage, and this is my opinion, this is just my opinion, but I feel that his attitude at this stage would only kind of bring what the squad is kind of down. I really like how hungry Vinicius is. I really like how hungry Raul is. And I don't think Mitrovic is going to be bringing that. And until he proves to us that he is serious, he is committed to the club again, I don't have any real interest in trying to integrate him back in.
But
Because like what
you're not seeing that,
I-
Sam, because that happens on the training ground and around
yeah.
Motspur Park. You can't make a call and say I have because he hasn't given you a personal apology. He's realistically he's not going to come out and apologize to all the fans for asking for a transfer. That never happens with players. They don't do that, and he's not going to do that. We've
yeah,
got to move on at some point, and if he doesn't leave, we're not going to leave one of our highest paid players training with the under 21s all season. That's dumb. And Marco has come out and said, I like Mitro. I get on with him. People think he's hard to manage. I don't. We've had chats about how everything's going. Marco has said he's back training with the team again, and they're obviously trying to repair the relationship. I think we as fans need to actually move on a little bit because he's going to play for us at some point, and you have to reintegrate him into the team at some point as well.
is he though? I'm not sure if he is.
My comment when I said no to Mitro starting was purely that we need to fast track the integration of Jimenez, in my view, because he's a very, very good option. And if this works for our structure, or we can, integrate him into a slightly amended structure, this could be really, really good for the club. Mitro is a proven player within this team and at Premier League level. So I've got no issue. There's no risk in terms of whether Mitro can do it or not for Fulham. And I believe that Marco will sort that problem out, and eventually Mitro will want to play football. If he doesn't leave, he'll eventually come round, and he will have a big enough ego that when he goes out there, he'll want to score goals. And if we start doing well despite him, he'll want to be part of it. So I've got no problem about that, and I don't mind if that happens in the third or fourth round. I don't care. But what I do want is someone who's clearly as hungry as Jimenez to be given every opportunity to hit the ground absolutely blazing and firing.
Totally.
Well, I mean, Jimenez, good player. He's 4 years older than Mitro. He hasn't scored a goal for the last, at all last season. I know we want to give him time, but if we take all the emotion out of it, how are we going to win games of football? It's by putting the best 11 out on the park. Mitro is a better striker than Jimenez. Otherwise, the Saudis would be coming after Jimenez and spending 50 million on him, and Mitro would be transferring to Wolves for £5 million. It's just not the way it's happening. Wolves have let go a player for a pittance, and Mitro is being chased by Inter Milan and the Saudis. Like he's obviously a better player. If you take the emotion out of it, we should be trying to reintegrate Mitro as fast as possible, and he should be starting against Hoffenheim so that he's ready for the first game of the season.
Counterpoint though, Saudis wouldn't have been going after him given Mitrovic under Scott Parker. He's had an amazing run of form. I mean, he's always been good, but he's had like an amazing run of form with Silva these past couple of seasons. And I think that's what's drawn the attention of the Saudis. And I feel that Raul can potentially get back to that level under Silva as well.
Yeah, but if you're having to pick a player who has proven over the last 12 months that they can score goals against a player who hasn't scored any goals in the last 12 months, you'd always pick the form player. There's no doubting that.
You're right,
Not
Jack.
me.
Yeah,
I'm petty. I'm annoyed at.
But
Mitrovic,
I'm
so
saying to you,
being-
Sam, as to try and actually analyze this, you have to take the emotion out of it and say, how do we win games of football? Because that's the way we stay in the Premier League and continue to progress as a team. I think Jimenez is a great signing, but if we actually want to win games of football and Mitro's not leaving, we need to reintegrate him as fast as possible back into the team to get the
You're
best
right,
possible
Jack.
results.
You're right, but it's actually apart from the fact that he hasn't been training with the team, I almost don't care because Mitrovic on one leg, standing in the box, can still put away headers, right?
Mm.
So I'm less worried about getting Mitro up to speed. We've been through a little drama with him, but it is you're completely right about the comparative value or excellence or form quality of those two players based on the value that they hold in the market. But you're also got to be playing a pragmatic game here. We clearly don't know what's really going on behind the scenes. But if I'm Silva and I'm hedging my bets, whilst it's gone quiet on the Saudi front for Metro, he could still walk out the door. That could still happen.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's still a
so-
month of the transfer
so-
window left.
And I think the Saudis have got another 2 weeks after. Or haven't they got another extra 2 weeks or something like that?
I thought they actually had less, but I'm not 100% sure.
And I think it's 2 extra. But nevertheless, if Tony Khan and the Saudis come to an agreement, he's gone. He wants to go. But I don't think Silva's even worrying about that. He's just going, there's a possibility that Mitro could leave. Yes, he hasn't been training. Now he's training with us. Does he have to start? Well, hang on. Jimenez has played 45 minutes with this club. What am I going to do? I would absolutely roll the dice on Jimenez. I really would. That would be my view.
I think that's probably what we're going to end up doing because you are right. Sorry, I was wrong there. The Saudi window actually runs until the 20th of September, so it runs for
You should come to me a lot, Jack. You should come to me often.
At least I can admit I'm wrong. It runs for 3 weeks longer after our window actually closes. So the issue there is our window closes. We can't bring in a replacement striker, and then Mitro leaves after our window's already closed. So there is a bit of an issue there. But look, it's a tough one. I'm not really sure what happens. I think there's a lot of conversations happening at the moment behind the scenes that we're not privy to. And I'd be interested to see how it pans out over the next few weeks. I think we'll get a clearer picture of what's actually going to happen. And we saw when Tony Khan did catch up with Marco Silva, there was a flurry of activity. I expect that will happen a couple more times before the season starts and before the transfer window closes as well. Let's push forward and look at some recent news from Fulham. The first Fulham Goes Pink. We've released our shocking pink away kit. It's divided opinions slightly. I know Steve Reynolds following along is very unhappy about this kit. But that might not actually be true. But look,
it's
let's just say it is.
Yeah. How dare
Steve
you, Steve? Stephen.
Look, I love it personally. I think Fulham absolutely missed a trick by not promoting this alongside the release of the Barbie movie at the exact same time. Because doesn't Harry Wilson look exactly like Ken?
Yeah.
But look, I think it's a great kit. I actually prefer it to our home kit, which has grown on me. But I think if you're looking to make a statement, shocking pink as it's described is a perfect way to go. And I love the look of it. I think I also love the fact that we've gone with pink shirt, pink shorts, and pink socks for the actual away kit.
Love it.
I think we're going to have to adjust the contrast on my TV though to get this right because it's going to be glowing otherwise.
Do you reckon the designer got their mouse and just dragged the mouse to the outer side of the color wheel and just went, yeah, that one.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think they just went, what is the pinkest possible pink?
You-
Like, what is the most offensively pink that we can do? I was about to swear. No, I fucking love it. It's so good. It's so great. Like, I've really been so bored by like the past couple of away strips that we've done. Like, maybe that's unpopular, but I mean, I'm buying this. I'm straight up buying this. I'm gonna get Jow on the back. I love this. I also, more so than anything, I love Jao Polinia's modeling in this. He's so hilariously serious and really doesn't want to be there. Or maybe he does want to be there. I truly can't tell. But it's just so fantastic. Everything about this I love. And yeah, as you said before, I love that it's pink shorts and pink top. It's so brash. I love that Fulham is now a brash club. We're in your face, we're attacking, we're boisterous. I love this away kit, and I hate
So
it.
does Harry Wilson? Does Harry Wilson actually go for like a pink top every second week as well when we play away?
Probably. I think it looks like in that picture Harry Wilson's slightly flexing the muscles as well. Though. I think he's
I don't know what
absolutely
Harry
loving
Wilson's doing.
this.
I don't know what Harry Wilson's
He's
doing, but everything about it, I
blue
love.
steel.
He
Blue
really
steel.
is
It's
blue steel.
brilliant.
Oh,
Look,
so
I think it's a great kit. I just love it. I'm a massive fan as well on kits where you go fully two-tone. So the fact that we don't have any white or red in the logo, we've gone with a black logo with a pink background, and same with the sponsor logo, just in all black, rather than having too many colors on it. So it really focuses on the pink. Good to see this season as well. We'll have a third kit which hasn't yet been released, although I've heard that it's all black with pink highlights in the same shocking pink. So I think it's an iconic kit. It goes alongside the Harrods green kit, the yellow third kit we had a few years ago, the orange kit we had in honor of Martin Yole during his time at the club, and the Pizza Hut kit. It's one of those ones that will stand out as a kit that you just don't forget, and I love it. I can't wait to kit my little girl out in it. I think Lola will look great in a pink kit. And Alfie I've already given Alfie the choice. Does he want the white one or the pink one? He said pink. Definitely pink.
Dad, you're not huge on the kit, are you? This is where
I
the
don't mind it.
generational gap comes in.
No, I don't hate it. I just think it's such an extreme statement.
It's brash.
But why is that bad? Like, just get in your face. It's great. It's so good.
Yeah.
At least it's
Steve
not
Reynolds saying the third kit is rumored to be a lime green mankini. I reckon Harry Wilson would pull it off looking at him in that photo as well.
Honestly.
Next little bit of news. That's So Craven has released our Fantasy Premier League. So for those who do enjoy a bit of fantasy, I know most of us started at the start of the season with good intentions and drop it after a couple of weeks because we just can't keep up with it. But those who do enjoy it, please do register. Our code there is HHA8ME. Sam, I'd like you to give me those letters in what's that alphabet called? I can't remember.
Oh, what alphabet? What are you on about?
In your version of it, you know when like Whiskey Foxtrot. Give me your version because I do know the right one.
It's too late for this right now. What's going on? What is it like? Harry, like H for Harry, H for Harry, A for ass, 8. I don't know. Like what? What do you need from me?
This is exactly what I was hoping for, to be honest, Sam. Try again from the start so everyone can actually follow along. It's the phonetic alphabet, as Paul Steele tells me.
No, I can make this Fulham related. Okay. H for Harry, A for Abubakar, 8 for Harry, M for Mbabu, and E for Anthony Robinson with 2 E's. Do you want to know something precious?
So confusing.
Do you want to know something precious? Apparently, Anthony Robinson likes the number 33 and won't change from number 33 because he sees 3 as 2 E's.
Oh, dyslexic?
Yeah, just precious. Love it. It's great.
Yeah, fair enough. For those of us who actually know the phonetic alphabet, Hotel, Alpha, 8, Mike, Echo. So yeah, please do join along. We'll post it. In fact, it's our pinned tweet at the moment on, it's not called Twitter anymore. It's called x.com, which sounds a little bit pornographic. But
thanks, Musk.
for those who do follow us on Twitter, which is now X, it's our pinned tweet. We'll also chuck it on our Facebook and our Instagram. Com asks all capitals. I don't think it matters. With this, I think capitals or lowercase, it doesn't matter a huge amount. It's just a 6-digit code. So do please join. We will be having a few prizes through the year as well. We've got some That's So Craven merch in the pipeline that we're working on. And we'll have a prize for the overall winner at the end of the season to be announced, as in once we all work out how much is left in our bank accounts.
Yeah, please send in your measurements for the lime green mankini. I'm sure it'll fit all of you.
I can definitely make a lime green Fulham mankini. But yeah, please do join up. It should be good banter through the year, and we'll feature it during the podcast as well as we go through the season. Let's take a quick look. Well, not a quick look, a bit of a dive into the transfer news. So the confirmed signings in, we've discussed a little bit, and obviously we saw them during the Chelsea game. Raul Jimenez for $5 million from Wolves and Calvin Bassey for $19.3 million from Ajax. Dad, your thoughts? I mean, it's not early in the transfer window, but in terms of Fulham signings, it's still early doors. Out of 10, could you give me a rating for how you feel these two signings have impacted you so far?
Well, in reverse order, Calvin Bassey, I'd give him an 8.5 for what I saw. He had immediate impact, and he looked like he absolutely belonged. He barely put a foot wrong. He was doing everything, tracking back, making great interceptions. Looked like he actually wanted to be part of build-ups going forward. He looks like a smart player, and I'm very happy to have him. I don't think it would be overstating Jimenez's impact to say he had an incredible game and wasn't he amazing. I think he didn't have that many opportunities, but he looked really hungry, and he looked very, very, very high energy. And that sort of thing that where you see a player jumping for the ball competitively one-on-one and just trying to crane his neck to actually get some power behind the ball when there is no power on the ball. That kind of vibe I thought was exciting. And for a guy who has a vulnerability around a head injury, he didn't look like he was hiding.
Totally.
He looked sharp. And yeah, I think I'm probably in the camp of I just want him to do well. I want this to be a good signing. If Mitrovic goes, I'd like us to make another signing.
Yeah, me too.
And spend some proper pounds on it. But wouldn't it be great if he was a really high quality alternative, not so much a backup, but an alternative for when we needed something different, that we could bring him on and just kind of not go out and have a swing and hope for the best. Look, you asked for a number. Look, I'd only give him probably a 7, 6.5, 7 for what I saw, but I think he's more than that. I think he's got more.
Interesting. Speaking of Jimenez, before I throw to you, Sammy, for the same question, anyone who, or if you ever get a chance, please do watch a documentary on Jimenez and the injury and everything that happened afterwards. It's called Raul Jimenez Code Red. You can find it on YouTube. I think it was actually posted by Wolves, but you will watch that and you will fall in love with Jimenez straight away, because he's and there's a few people who've mentioned it as well. He is just the most normal bloke, the most non-footballer you'll ever meet. and he's had a long road over the last couple of years since that injury, and the fact that he's still playing football, but even still alive, is a bit of a miracle. So definitely give that a watch. Sammy, I'll throw to you now. Your grades, I guess, so far for our two signings.
Yeah, I haven't had chance to actually watch that documentary yet. I have heard it's very good. I definitely want to. I look forward to the pleasure of watching that. Yeah, like for Jimenez, I'm going to give him a 7 because why not? No, I'm really excited about Jimenez. I'm really excited for just this type of striker who does have quality, who has a redemption story. Fulham loves a redemption story at the moment. We're really good at our redemption stories. I'm really hopeful for Jimenez. I can't see our fan base not getting behind him. He seems really, really great. I think he really perfectly fits into the way Silva actually really likes to play. He feels like a real Marco Silva player, and that's something that I'm really, really pumped about. Yeah, Calvin Bassey. I mean, I feel like me and Dad just have the exact same um number rating for both these players. I'm really excited about what Calvin Bassey is actually going to bring to us. Yeah, I trust Silva. I trust the way that Silva sees players and how they fit into the squad. I can't actually really think. I mean, aside from maybe Kevin and Mbabu, but I can't really think of. But even Kevin and Mbabu, he got that assist against Brentford, didn't he? So like, Kevin and Mbabu has given us some stuff here. I trust Silva wholeheartedly, and yeah, I'm really excited about this. But I'm actually just more excited about who else is coming in and what that brings. You know?
Yeah, look, I'd give Jimenez a slightly lower mark personally. I think we're assuming, I guess, across the board that Mitro leaves. If that's the case, I don't think Jimenez is a good enough replacement for Mitro. So I think it's a great backup striker and an upgrade on Vinicius, but I don't think it's a good enough signing to hang our hat on at this stage.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe like a 6. He's still going to be a great squad player and a great bloke around the team. He looks like he's already settled in pretty well. Calvin Bassey, I think for me, it's like a 9. He's young. He's had European experience already. He looked like he settled in so quickly into that backline, and I can just imagine once he actually trains for more than, I think he'd only trained for maybe a day before the Chelsea game. Once he actually gets a couple of weeks of training, a couple of months of training under his belt, training alongside Diop, Ream, Tosin, he's going to become a really key player and could be a player for the long-term future as well. I think he signed a 4-year contract with the option for a further year after that. He's only 21. So, I mean, that takes him through
Is
for
he
a
only
very, very long
21?
time.
Wow.
He might be 22. I might have got that wrong. Let me just double check that.
I think
He's
he is
very
I
young
think he's
still, though.
about that young.
He's a player for the future. That's the big thing that I see there. Sorry, he's 23, but still, he's
still
young.
young.
It's
That's
not like
crazy.
he's in his late 20s. But to me, he acted like a defender who was 28 and someone who
Yeah.
had been doing it for years and years and years, which is what I really liked, is how comfortable he looked in the job he had to do. So at 23, we're going to get hopefully the best years out of him coming towards the end of his contract. And now the fact that he already looks this good at 23, I'm really excited by this signing. I didn't know much about him, but just from that 45 minutes I saw, I really, really liked it. Let's have a quick look at the rumours now of players coming in and out. I'll focus on the two main rumours, which are the two wingers, Hudson-Odoi and Damari Gray. Now, the news that we've seen circulated is that we've agreed personal terms with both of these players. So the wage has been agreed, the length of the contract's been agreed, but we haven't agreed a fee with Chelsea or with Everton for the signings. Hudson-Odoi, Chelsea have said they wanted 10 million. I believe our opening bid for him was 4. We've lifted that up to 8. But Chelsea are holding fairly firm on 10. I expect this one will go for another week or so, but it looks like it's it's going to be happening pretty soon, because I know there's a few other people interested in Hudson-Odoi, but I think he wants to come to Fulham. It's not uprooting his life completely. He's already at Chelsea, so Fulham makes the most sense for him. Sam, your thoughts on Hudson-Odoi in this transfer?
I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same as you guys. It's just hurry up because it's so close. It's so close to just being done. I just want it done, and it's just annoying me the longer it doesn't get done. Because I'm like, I want to be excited about this. I want to be like ready for it. It feels like it should be done, and it's not done. Do it. I am tired. I am sleepy. It is 11:30. Do it. Finish it now. I am sleepy.
Apparently you're sleepy, Sammy.
Mm.
Dad, sounds like it's, well, from all accounts, a really good deal for a player who Chelsea turned down 70 million for just a few years ago.
Excuse me. Look, we're 10 days out from the start of the season. For goodness sakes, we're nickel and diming over a couple of million. It's ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous for billionaires to be so penny wise and kind of pound foolish on this. I don't really get it. I don't get it. It
So-
makes no sense at all. You know, if we
can
were
counter
talking
that
about a
point though as
margin,
well, if I
Yeah.
can counter that point, Chelsea are out there spending 60, 70 million. I mean, they spent 600 million in the last window. They're also nickel and diming over £2 million here.
It's
So surely
infuriating.
you can say the
It's
same
just
thing
a-
back.
well, I think
Surely you
I
can say
think
the same thing back about Chelsea's.
it doesn't matter. Chelsea don't need players as badly as we do. So actually, Chelsea can nickel and dime all they like at the low end. This guy doesn't affect their plans. He's
Yeah.
absolutely surplus to their plans and could be key for us. So who's the idiot here? I mean, Tony can kind of, you know, um, sort of face up to whoever he's dealing with on the other side. But really, we've got a week to go. We're short. We need to get him in. 2 million is not even a thing. And we just need to
Yep.
get him in the house and get him on the training track and start integrating him.
It's Ross and Rachel for me. It's like just kiss, okay? Just kiss and finish this up.
A question from Colm on our live stream: do we know his wages at Chelsea? I did
Yeah, okay,
hear
well-
that he was on 180,000 a week at Chelsea.
Jeez.
I do believe he's agreed to a massive pay cut to join Fulham, though, which is good. I'd expect he'll probably still be in the 80 to 100 sort of region as one of our highest paid players. But again, this is a guy who he's a really talented player. He's got a lot of experience. He's played, I think I saw it was 200 games under his belt in total across club football as a 22-year-old. He's played at Bayer Leverkusen. He's played at Chelsea. He's got 3 England caps to his name. He's played all through the youth ranks in England. He's incredibly highly regarded. As I said, Chelsea turned down a £70 million offer for him. And that was not that long ago, just a few years ago. So it's not like he is a player without ability and without skill. I think I understand why we nickel and dime, because we nickel and dime for every deal, and it does work because we pick up blokes like Leno on these amazing deals, and we're not smashing FFP and going out there and spending 70 million on players. So we're doing it really well. It's just about actually making sure we get it over the line quick enough to benefit us in the long run. And I think the Damari Gray deal is probably similar. It's touted as being for £7 million. I'd say we're also nickel and diming on that a little bit and trying to get him for a bit cheaper. And we do like to do things in installments. We like to add clauses to these deals as well. So it's not overly surprising that these are holding up a bit. The one thing I'll say about these two guys, Hudson-Odoi and Damari Gray, the benefit for both of these, and I did a bit of research beforehand, is Hudson-Odoi and Damari Gray are both very flexible and able to play on the left and the right wings. Across their careers, if you look at where they started games, it's almost a 50-50 split between the left and right wing. Now, Silva has come out and said we need to sign a couple of wingers. Usually you'd look for one left winger, one right winger. In signing these two, we're effectively signing 2 left wingers and 2 right wingers. So it really makes a lot of sense and we're doing it for 17, maybe probably combined 20 million pounds. It looks like a really good deal for two experienced players who've played a lot of Premier League football before. Yes, they're not exactly the most exciting world beaters in the world, which a lot of fans on Twitter are having a proper whinge about, saying, where's, why aren't we looking at, top class, world class players in these positions? I don't think we're in a position to, having just come up and had our first season safe in the Premier League, look at that level of player of a Mudryk and spending 70, 80 million on them and taking a chance. These are smart deals, and I think they're good deals by Fulham, and I hope we get them over the line nice and quick.
Again,
hope-
like with Jimenez as well, these feel like very silver players, and I can see what he's cooking. I can see his vision for like that front three, and I just want it. I'm just give it to me, Dad,
you're going to make a point there?
No, it wasn't that good a point. I was just going to say, get him on Afterpay. God's sake, Tony.
Not the worst call. Another fairly recent one, but it's sort of floated around in the background for some time now. Fausto Vera plays at Corinthians as an Argentinian defensive midfielder. The fee has been touted as 10 million euros, which is about £8.5 million. I don't personally know a huge amount, but from what I've seen, he's a bit of a Harrison Reed type, but with a bit more creativity to him. Flies into tackles, lots of blocks in the defensive midfield position, but with a little bit more creativity in terms of playing balls forward. A lot of highlights of him playing big cross-field raking passes from almost, the edge of our own penalty area to the wingers. And I was just watching a few of the highlights, and I just thought to myself, God, I can see him releasing Willian down the left with one of those raking balls, and how dangerous that would actually be for us. And players like, Wilson makes great runs almost all the time. Willian as well, Robinson getting in behind. Having someone like that who can play those balls from deep could add another dimension to our creativity going forward. And he looks like an interesting option. And again, for £8.5 million, it's not a huge risk. He's Argentinian. He's only, I think, maybe 23. Might even be a bit younger than that. He's got some youth caps for Argentina under his belt as well. But obviously, he's only been playing in South America for his career so far. So we're not 100% sure if he can do it in the European leagues. But an interesting rumour nonetheless.
On that one, on that position or that area of the pitch, any more on Fred?
Look, I've seen a few little rumours floating around. I saw that Man United have dropped their asking price from about 18 million down to 12 million. I know Fulham were pretty much not wanting to spend more than about 8 to 10 million, which seems to be the way across the board for all of our transfers at the moment. And maybe that's because we see that we need to bring in 5 players and we can't really afford to splurge on one, because it would mean we can't strengthen in other positions. I'd say that Fred transfer is probably going to go right to the very end of the window, and I wouldn't be overly surprised if it falls over. It would be a shame, but the fact that we are quite a way apart in our valuation, I know it's 4 million, but it seems like we're pretty rigid on our sort of 8 million or less stance for Fred, and Man United are quite rigid on what they want for him as well, because he's a good squad player for them in the first place. I think they'd like to keep him around because he adds so much to their team. Will they let him go for a cut price towards the end of the window because they sort of feel the pressure and the pinch? I'm not sure.
Here's a question to either of you. I'm not sure if you know the answer to this, but we have a pretty good flavour for the kind of commercial business person Tony Khan is, or the Khans are in general. What's the experience in his wrestling world? Is he splashing the cash to grow really quickly and very big, or is there a similar kind of?
I can actually answer this. I can answer this in great detail. Tony Khan likes to essentially, so all wrestlers are free agents. So essentially, you buy them for a period of time, but they aren't fully contracted. So it's never like anything permanent. you essentially rent them. And Tony Khan for
They're
AEW,
contracted on contracts.
yeah, but Tony Khan gets every single person he can physically get his hands on. He is splashing a significant amount of money, which for a lot of people in wrestling have spoken about how it's great for the industry because people can actually get paid again. Because for a long time WWE had a monopoly and essentially just did whatever they want. But Tony Khan has plenty of money. He has plenty.
Thanks for the background. But what I'm really keen to know is if he really wants a wrestler, does he just go out and buy them and pay market for them? Does he just go out and pay? But what is he the same sort of nickel and dime thing happening?
No, if anything, he will overspend just to make sure that he gets them. And he might only get them for a short period of time, but he makes sure that he gets them.
I'm not 100% sure on that. I am
100% sure on that.
Well, I don't follow the wrestling side closely, but I follow the commercial side closely. They put in about 100 million at the start to found AEW, and it's been valued at 1.5 billion since in the last 2 years. So they're doing an incredible job commercially with the wrestling side of things. When you have that much money and you're competing against, this is a 2-team league. It's WWE against AEW. There's no other teams around bidding for players. WWE release someone, AEW offer them a decent chunk of money, but I don't think there's a huge amount of overpaying because there's not many people who they let their contract run down with WWE and then they just move to AEW. I don't want to get into a big conversation around wrestling because it's not a wrestling podcast.
But you get my question. You get my question. I'm trying to understand in my limited knowledge of Tony Khan outside of the Fulham sphere. Is this just because he's not that passionate about it? It's just one of his business interests, and I know how passionate he is about wrestling. He's like that's his boyhood passion, and I'm just wondering whether he actually behaves differently outside of Fulham, where he spent 100 million recklessly and forever, got
so the biggest
dirty
criticism.
Looks.
The biggest criticism of Tony Khan is he literally buys all these wrestlers and does not know what to do with them. There's a wrestler called CM Punk who he made return to wrestling after 15 years. He was a massive, massive get for him. And essentially he had so many people that he didn't know what to do and how to fit him in. So he essentially created a new brand for him within the other brands that he had within AEW. And it's just become an over convoluted mess because he can't stop spending money on it. So he's not shy of dollar and he's not afraid to spend.
I have my answer.
They're incredibly different beasts though. If you consider that,
of course.
Fulham is worth maybe a couple of 100 million. AEW is worth almost a couple of billion. There's not FFP to consider when you're looking at AEW. Well. So we can't just spend cash. And I think that 100 million we were talking about that he did splurge on players a few years ago definitely is sitting in the back of his mind. I think to us it seems like nickel and diming. To the people in the commercial team at Fulham, it's actually more about being smart in the business that we're doing. And I think we do a brilliant job of it at the moment. I think we didn't previously, and we're learning lessons slowly but surely. But, they're two incredibly different beasts. So I don't think you can really compare the business dealings between the two.
I totally agree with that.
Possibly you could look at what he's done at the Jags and compare that a little bit more. But again, they've made a lot of mistakes there, but they learn from their mistakes slowly but surely, and they're starting to see a little bit more success off the back of that. So, I don't have a problem with it. I don't like that it takes so long, but the deals that we've been getting in the last couple of years have been incredible. And so I don't think we can... I think we have to have a bit of give and take here and accept that it takes a little bit longer to get these deals over the line, but we're not lumped with these players that if we got relegated, we'd be in an absolute shit show of trying to get rid of people on massive contracts who we paid massive dollars for. And I think what they do in the background actually works really well so far. I don't know if it'll continue to work well, and I don't know if it's the best decisions all the time, but I think it's probably outweighing the negatives at the moment.
I think we can all agree as well that Tony Khan's gotten so much better than spending like 100 million on our return to the top flight a couple of years back. I feel that he has learned from a lot of mistakes, and I actually do have a decent amount of confidence in him now.
Just a final word on this. I'm thinking from obviously we are on a complete outside. There's so much speculation, rumors flying around, but really outside of these clubs, most people know very little about what's really, really going on. But I don't know. I actually feels like it would be a pretty hard regime to work within if I was Silver.
Yeah, definitely. That's been proven across the last 7 or 8 years.
There are shitter clubs than us who seem to be able to get things over the line pretty easily, fairly, without a lot of friction, without trying to be cute. And maybe we don't have these trophy deals where we steal goalkeepers from Arsenal or, whatever. But it is a pragmatic game about actually getting plays in early. Because if you are scrambling to fashion a side together that's competitive and actually even know each other in the first month, that could be the difference between 8th and 14th in terms of finishing.
I feel that Jack would probably know way more about this than you and me, Dad. But I don't really know what like the true history is of like Fulham or particularly the Khans with relationships with other clubs, because I do think a lot of that is what it comes down to, in establishing key relationships to actually have positive transfers between other teams and that.
I'd say when they came in, they had no relationships.
I don't think it may. I mean, there's obviously instances where you've got someone like Man City doing deals with Vincent Kompany, super easy. But I don't think it makes a huge difference. I think if anything, we've probably done ourselves a disservice by being nickel and dimers, and clubs would know that we are nickel and dimers, and know that we're fractionally hard to deal with. But I don't think we care that much because we get great deals off the back of it, and it seems like we still sign a lot of players, so it's not exactly like we maybe miss out on our first choice, but we usually have a couple sitting in the background as well, ready to go. So, look, I think we've talked about this a fair bit now, but we can probably move on from it. One final, well, I'll throw to a comment from Steve Reynolds on our live stream. Thoughts on Ward-Prowse. I saw not Man City, West Ham were trying to make a deal happen with Ward-Prowse. It looks like it's not happening. So I think realistically, it looks like he's just going to cost us too much. If West Ham have 100 million from a Declan Rice deal and are thinking that they don't want to spend that much on James Ward-Prowse, apparently it's 25 to 30 million that they want for Ward-Prowse. I can't really see us splurging that amount of money on him. We'll wait and see, but I would have thought that one's pretty much dead in the water because it's gone very, very quiet since first reported.
Yeah, yeah.
The one rumor of a player going out, there are a couple. I've seen one about Terence Congolo, but he hasn't played a game for us in 3 years. Tosin potentially leaving. Obviously, we knew this was sort of coming towards the end of last season. He's been flouted to Monaco. They were looking at £4.2 million for him, which seems undervalued to me. That deal looks like it's probably not going to go ahead, as Monaco have recently signed Salisu, who we were also linked with. So there have been rumours about Tosin potentially going to Spurs. I'm starting to think I could see Tosin actually staying with us for the year and leaving on a free at the end of his contract. To be honest, if we were only going to pick up 4 million for him, I would rather have him stay for a season and lose him for free.
Could you imagine how much that would hurt Tony Khan? He's nickel and diming on £1 million for a player we really need. He's going to lose 4.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've still got Knockout floating around. We've still got Cavallero floating around. Those guys are sapping the wage bill, and they're going to leave for free at the end of next season. Surely Tosin's going to be doing the same. And if you're allowing those guys to do it, why wouldn't you just allow Tosin to do it as well when you know that he's more than good enough to play first team football?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you are just allowing that to happen. I think maybe it fits into the too hard to deal with basket, where whether we're buying or selling, we just want too much or too little. The market. If no one's going to pay, Tosin's not a rubbish footballer, and if no one wants to pay 4.2 million for him, he's not worth it.
Yeah. I look, I'm pretty confident Tosin will go. I mean, I said he would go last year because I genuinely thought he was going to be going in January. It kind of feels like a bit of a foregone conclusion that he's going to go. I don't really know when or who, but I could also see him staying, but it just feels like he's going to go. And not that he's checked out. Differently to Mitrovic, I feel that he would just kind of grit his teeth a little bit and then just kind of, if it doesn't go through, he'd be like, oh, okay, I gotta be here till January. I feel that it will happen. I just don't really know when. But yeah, it is the twilight of Tosin, which is sad, but yeah. We digress.
Yeah, like I said, I'd happily have him for one more year.
Sure.
And if he leaves it on a free at the end of that, then good luck to him. Maybe we have a great season and he actually goes, yeah, I actually quite enjoy it here and I'd like to sign a new contract. But you never know. He might look for new pastures and see what's out there. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up. I know there's a lot of other rumors floating around. I don't want to we could spend hours just talking about them, but these are definitely the ones that seem to be standing out at the forefront at the moment. I'd expect by the time we have the Hoffenheim game on the weekend, we might have either Hudson-Odoi or Demarai Gray signed. I don't think they'll actually take part in that game, but we'll wait and see. And I'd say there'll be some more news about other players as well. An interesting question here from Colm on the live stream. Do we have space still for 2 homegrown loans? And yes, we do. Well, we actually have space for two loans. Is it 2 loans? Yeah, 2 loans from other Premier League clubs. And I 100% expect that those 2 slots will be filled because you're just paying a player's wages for the season. I think it makes sense to bring in players from the Premier League who have experience. It's just going to be interesting to see who those players actually are. There's also the possibility that we potentially look at signing someone like I think is Kelechi Iheanacho from Leicester, who is still with Leicester.
Ooh,
I wonder
like
if he's someone who we could target as a homegrown loan, a proper striker who scored goals in the Premier League for Man City and for Leicester, would be able to come in on loan. If Leicester don't get promoted, which I'm sure will, he can go back to Leicester. If Leicester do get promoted, he can go back to Leicester. If they don't get promoted, there's a potential then for us to sign him in place of a Mitrovic down the track or something along those lines. I can see a deal like that potentially happening, but we'll just have to wait and see how everything pans out before the end of the transfer window.
Is there any more substance or noise about the rumor around Somerville?
No, I think that was bullshit. And the joy of following random accounts on Twitter sometimes is you do just see random things tweeted out. I've seen nothing else about that, and just one person basically say, no, that's not true. There's a few other things about a couple of left backs, Pellegrini from Juventus, Doig from Hellas Verona as well. Look, if we get more news about that, they've only just been released today, so I don't want to make comment on those at the moment because there's no real clout to those rumors at the moment. But we'll wait and see, and we'll definitely cover it in the next podcast. We'll look to podcast again after the Hoffenheim game, when hopefully we'll have a better idea about who's going to be starting our first game against Everton, and we'll have our first proper preview podcast of the season as well. And guys, it's flown around quickly. It's 10 days from today until the season starts.
Oh,
Sam, are
God.
you ready?
Oh, I'm really not. I'm really not emotionally prepared for it. I love doing this podcast. I really love doing it. I love doing it, but like, I just don't sleep like when I'm like with like the season's going. So I'm just really like preparing to just go back into that mindset. It's really rewarding though, so it'll be fine. But I'm just it's like going back to school. But I get to see all
Can
my
I
friends,
just
so it's
say,
very
Sammy, no, you're not allowed to whinge about no sleep, because Dad and I, for the last 2 months, have stayed up till roughly 2 a.m. Almost every night to watch the Ashes. And for all our English listeners, unlucky. Never mind. There's always next time.
I thought you were going to offer them a beer.
I will say a bit of a shout out. I did promise to give a shout out to the people who I had a Fulham Ashes chat with on Telegram.
Nice.
Very, very enjoyable winding up Englishmen and Englishwomen for the last few months, and really chucking the fishing rod out there for everyone during the games. It's been really enjoyable.
I did have a long phone call with Dad because I was like, okay, sell me the Ashes. And he did. He had a really good shot. I wanted to make it a podcast, but that got poo-pooed. But yeah, Dad just trying to sell me the Ashes from a Fulham perspective. And he did actually do a very good job. I still didn't watch it, but yeah, he did a good job. Yeah.
So he didn't do a good job then. But yeah, look, it's funny. I mentioned it to my wife Tegan just the other day. She said, "So when does Fulham actually start again?" I said, "Oh, it's about a week or two." She said, "Are you serious? You've literally watched Fulham for the whole year. Then Ashes cricket started, and then you're back into it straight away. There's been absolutely no break." And I said, "Yep, it's been bloody wonderful." And I'm really looking forward to getting back into Fulham again. Dad,
me too.
Looking forward to the season ahead?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Can't wait. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's
Just give me some players.
100% agree.
I
think
I love the
all
way
ready to
we
get more signing.
I love the way we're going to have a pre-season conversation, but that it's all going to happen just on deadline day. It's all going to happen like it does every single 6 months.
It's almost worth an early morning wake up on deadline day for us, because it'll be. I think that's like a 7. No, it's like a 9 a.m. for you, Sam. It's perfect.
I am not putting
it's like
that
a 7
out to our
a.m.
audience.
A 7 a.m. live stream of transfer deadline day finishing off. I think that would actually be quite interesting to cover off everything. That is a month away almost now from today. But look, it's been great to chat again and wrap up the summer series. Looking forward to this Hoffenheim friendly on the weekend. I think we'll get a much better understanding of how we're going to line up against Everton. I think we're going to see pretty close to a starting lineup against Hoffenheim. So I'm looking forward to watching that game. Looking forward to ordering my pink kit as well. Hopefully have that ready for one of the live streams early in the season. But like I said, it's just great to be back. Great to be back talking Fulham, and great to be podcasting with our little community here who join us on the live stream as well. A big thanks to everyone who's supported us, everyone who's already joined the Fantasy League. Good numbers coming in already, which is great to see. Sam and Dad, I need you guys to put your teams in as soon as possible. Lead by example, please.
God.
I know you got to do it
I'm
though.
so
You guys
bad.
might win.
I'm going to forget.
It doesn't matter.
I'm going to forget, and I will be happily called out on the podcast on a weekly basis about it. But I just know I'm going to forget. I'm going to forget.
You might win some great That's So Craven merch, so it's definitely worth it.
I have to then, because that's I have to.
So guys, let's wrap it up there. Thank you again. A big shout out as well to Sammy for the intro music that you will be hearing on the podcast, and the outro music too, fully composed by Sam. Well done. It's obviously been a bit of a change recently. I think we changed it just at the right time when Mitra had a meltdown. But yeah, great little tune there, and I think everyone will hopefully associate that with the pod going forward. So everyone, until next time, come on you Whites.